All right, this is our new channel, Digging a Bit Deeper. We're also on Facebook. You can find us under Digging Deeper. This is going to be our new show called Talking Points. This is a pilot, test the waters, so please take this with a grain of salt. In this show, we are seeking to openly and intelligently discuss relevant and recent news stories, and we encourage people to self-educate and to think philosophically. We don't encourage you to sit behind the television or sit at your computer all day and be on Facebook, be on Twitter, be on Instagram, and not educate yourself. We encourage you to become more intelligent and learn and read about current issues and to make our generation great, because the way it's going, our generation is not great. We need to be more intelligent. And this show, it's going to be there's going to be a lot of satire in this show, so please don't take this seriously. Take us seriously, but a lot of our comments may end up being satirical. So, to begin,
my name is Matthew.
And my name's Jordan, and we are both libertarian,
independent, centrist thinkers. At least we try to be.
We try to be unbiased. We try to be.
We try to avoid stereotyping.
We try to avoid hate mongering. We try to avoid gossiping. What we try to do is we support our opinions intelligently with evidence, and we will source ourselves as much as possible. So to begin, this is Talking Points. This is our first episode, I guess you could call it, on December 11th, 2013. And we're going to start with, in the news recently, Nelson Mandela passed away. He was a leader in South Africa, imprisoned for 25 years. He was a big in spreading peace, big in spreading human rights. And at his funeral in a soccer stadium in South Africa, in Johannesburg, what is big in the news now, apparently, is Mr. Obama shook Raul Castro's hand at the funeral. He's walking down the line of world leaders. He's shaking everybody's hand, and he just happens to shake Raul Castro's hand. And what I don't understand personally is how this is even news. How this even becomes newsworthy. I mean, a handshake is just a handshake. It doesn't mean anything. Matt, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the Cubans, especially, are believing of this handshake as to indicate something more than a casual gesture. Americans see this as being indicative of something sinister because Raul Castro is the brother of Fidel Castro. Raul is the successor to Fidel Castro after Fidel was plagued with infirmity and old age in 2008 and was no longer able to occupy the office. Fidel Castro reputedly was a communist. And now his brother, because they share the same name, obviously this means, according to most Americans and especially neoconservatives, that he too is a communist. But in fact, what I have read in Reuters in 2012 decided to publish a report saying that since 2008, Raul Castro has attempted to reduce state intrusion in businesses and in the economy. He has sought to privatize agriculture. He wants to undo precedents and policies that have allowed the state to own 90% of the economy. Small businesses are being given more leeway. And Raul wants to remove 20% of the workforce from government payrolls. And he's doing as much as he can to oppose the Communist Party's central planning policies, as they insist to have their policies remain intact and unchanged. Now, what do you think?
What I draw from what you just said is Raul Castro is not like Fidel at all. And even though Fidel is in the background right now in Cuba, this 87-year-old guy trying to influence his younger brother on how to run the country, what causes the problem for me is Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. They're all trying to make this like it's world policy changing. Like everybody in the world is going to start viewing the United States differently. You know, I heard on Fox News the other night on the Five. If you guys ever watched that, don't ask me why I watch Fox News. By the way, I typically just watch it too. I watch Fox News for comedy. I watch Daily Show for news. What they were saying is, why didn't President Obama just pass over Raul Castro? Why didn't he just go, nope, I'm going to go shake the next guy's hand? And I think that would affect world policy more, because that's just being a douchebag. Like, hey, I'm not going to shake your hand because you might be communist. That is breeding this outlook on the world that most Americans hold, is like, if you aren't like us, then you're against us, and that's not true. I mean, you look at other countries. Look at London. Look at the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is one of our strongest allies, and they're not even. They're technically democratic, but they're technically not. I mean, they have an autocratic leader who, while most people say she doesn't really have power, the Queen of England does have a lot of power, and if she wants to, she can overrule Parliament. She can disband Parliament. She can declare war by herself. And that's our biggest ally. And essentially, all Cuba is doing is taking that viewpoint where one person holds all the power, and they're just taking it a step further, where they're actually enacting that. And I don't see how that is such a big problem. If one person wants to hold power, let Cuba do that. As long as this guy is advancing human rights, I don't have a problem if he holds all the power.
Well, John Kerry thinks that Raul Castro is opposing human rights.
Well,
and Raul Castro does not want to respect the human rights of South Africans. Kerry even stated this in a video that can be found online. What is the name of the website we read this report from?
I believe it was Newsers is where I got my information from. I don't know where you got it from.
The LA Times displays the video, and you can watch the video. Search for it on Google. Do your research. Cubans are hoping that this handshake is more than a casual gesture. They're hoping that this will be the termination point for the trade embargoes imposed by the United States on Cuba. They're hoping that we can patch up old wounds that were opened during the Cuban Revolution, when our country had invaded Cuba's grounds and were firing shots on the revolutionaries, the insurrectionists, and the people who were...
He's talking about the Cuban Revolution.
Defined as
Cuban
communists.
Invasion. Yeah.
But as we focus on this handshake, of course, it is very easy for the mainstream media, the American mainstream media, to sensationalize this event and say that the United States is coalescing with a communist, and we should be wary of this.
Now, I'm just going to go ahead and say this is kind of like...
But this handshake could we do not know what this means. It could mean anything.
It could mean anything from just a simple
handshake. For all we
handshake
know, it could be a diplomatic facade.
I want to go out on a limb and say this is just like the global stage when Vladimir Putin, he was aiding and abetting what the United States government called a traitor in Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden, and he was
exposing the NSA.
For exposing the NSA. He was making threats to the United States. He mobilized his military forces. He got them mobilized. He didn't make any motions to invade or declare war on the United States, but the Russian military, their activity increased dramatically during this point. And when President Obama met with Vladimir Putin, he still shook his hand. Pardon my grammatical errors. He still shook his hand. And I think the only reason that wasn't huge news, that he shook Vladimir Putin's hand when Putin was perceivably hostile, I think the only reason they didn't do that is because at the time Russia is technically a democratic state and technically an ally of the United States. And if Cuba would have been an ally, it would have just been another handshake. Like, why wasn't there talks about how he was shaking other world leaders' hands? Why is it just Cuba? If you're going to outline or highlight something, highlight everything and go into the subject. Don't just pick and choose what you're talking about. You have to be factual. You have to look at evidence and look at the whole story. You can't just pick and choose what you're talking about. You can't make a mountain out of this molehill, but not make a mountain out of this one. But to wrap it up, we're getting a little lengthy on this topic. We're gonna closing talking points on this topic. My closing points are. I don't know how this is going to make the U.S. look weak, like people are suggesting it's going to do. Like, if you're out with your friends and you shake somebody's hand and they don't like that person, and they don't want to be your friend anymore, they probably weren't your friend. And if they're making big deals about you shaking this person's hand, you don't need them anymore. You don't need them. And I think...
I do not... I think the United States will not be weakened. The United States is one of the most... one of the greatest imperialistic powers in the entire world, alongside of China and Russia.
And I think to draw it to a close,
with Israel being the
both sides of the aisle at this point.
With
that's
Israel
a whole other topic. That's a whole other topic. No. That's a whole other topic. With both sides of the aisle today have completely gone off the deep end. If you're still identifying as a Democrat or you're still identifying as a Republican and you're not free thinking and looking into the actual subjects and you're just identifying with a party, you have gone off the deep end. And there is probably no saving you at this point.
Indubitably.
And I think that draws this topic to a close.
So now, in other recent events, the National Security Agency is using tracking data, or Google cookies, from Google's advertisers to locate its targets. Who would their targets be, of course?
What they mean by that, to put it in layman's terms, is when you go to Google and you Google...
Naked women.
You Google body lotion, okay?
And naked women.
And naked women. But you Google body lotion. Now, I don't know who's a big lotion provider. Let's just say Tom's Lotion, all right? Tom's Lotion is a Google advertiser, and you Google body lotion. I don't know why I picked body lotion, but you Google body lotion, and Tom's Lotion is now saying, the NSA now gives information saying, hey, Steve Googled body lotion. Tom's Lotion, you can advertise to them. There's a good chance that they're going to buy lotion from you.
So there's a direct
link from what you're Googling and what advertisers are saying to you.
Yes, and NSA facilitates this. There is a direct connection between NSA and Google. NSA informs Google about who to target exactly.
Yes.
So the cookies, what are these cookies? How should we describe them? They are small computerized agents for collecting data, which attach themselves to the user's browser.
Yes, they're Google specific files, meaning it doesn't happen if you search on Yahoo. It doesn't happen if you search on Bing. So it's Google specific files that are attaching themselves to your files and to your browser to highlight you as a specific or as a suspected target for advertising and a suspected target for hacking.
And a very important point to make is, well, I should ask this question: what type of data are these cookies gathering? It is found on Business Insider that these cookies can identify people's locations, whereabouts, language, ethnicity, even your tastes. There is a new theory nowadays. I'm not sure if this is true, but computers have become so sophisticated now that they can even pick up sounds in your room. If it hears a dog in the background, it can at that time afterward then display advertisements for dogs.
See, that was a big thing if any of you are video gamers, that was a big thing. If you remember when they revealed the Xbox One and they were saying that you had to be online all the time with the Kinect, and everybody was like, oh, they're spying on us through the Kinect, they're spying on us through the Kinect. And conspiracy theories keep going around that maybe they are spying on us. I don't know if it's true. I'm not going to go out there and say I believe it. I'm just going to say, hey, whatever is. If you believe it, you believe it. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it. I don't know.
But can we at least agree that as time progresses, America is seemingly becoming more of an Orwellian type of society?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
And so now let's talk about Larry Page, the CEO of Google. Is he complicit in all of these activities? Is he facilitating the NSA's access?
That's an interesting question, because
or has the NSA infiltrated into the fiber optic nerve in Google's
that's
computers?
That's an interesting point, because the other day, actually, Google and other firms that are being spied on through the NSA have actually come out and said that they had nothing to do with this. They are pushing for privacy online. And
the CEO of Google,
Google itself actually said that they're pushing for privacy online. And I also wonder if AT&T is doing it. If you haven't heard about AT&T, NSA working through AT&T to find out about your contacts.
Well, there is an NSA expert, a former NSA agent and director. You can find the video online. He talks about an AT&T having this large station in I think it is Los Angeles. They have a giant computer that stores all of the data files at what he refers to as session rates. It is a large amount of gigabytes that are used to store all of these files.
And what comes of this is everybody's watching what you're doing online. Whether you like it or not, that's what's happening. So if we've learned anything from T-Mobile's new commercials, don't make any interesting conversations on Facebook, or they might put it on television.
And do not search for naked women.
Or lotion, or body lotion. To wrap this topic to a close, this is a brief topic. This is just a little fun topic we thought we'd go over. My opinion of all this is it's time to switch to Bing. It's time to switch to Bing, guys.
I love Bing.
So the next topic, and the topic we're going to wrap this up with, is one of my favorite topics. That is
homosexuality.
One of my favorite topics that actually came out recently is India's Supreme Court banned gay sex. I don't know if it's gayness or if it's just gay sex.
Now, this law is coming from an 1861 law that was imposed during colonialism.
That's 148
at the heyday
years
of colonialism.
148 years ago.
148 years ago, folks.
The Indian Supreme Court reinstated a colonial law that was originally denied by lower courts in 2009, but it outlaws gay sex completely, and the Supreme Court said that the denying of this law in 2009 was unconstitutional. And now, I don't know what the Indian Constitution is like, but if saying that gay sex is illegal is constitutional, you probably have a screwed up country, and you need to work on your human rights and your social evolution as a country. Because when you can punish someone for having gay sex by putting them in prison for 10 years, your priorities are screwed up.
Now, which party, and I do not want to be biased, I do not want to castigate one party more so than the other, but which party is primarily responsible for stonewalling the other party? I read that it is the conservative Hindu Nationalist Party that is stonewalling its opponents, as these opponents try to prevent change, a lawful change in disfavor of homosexuals.
What really bugs me about this is Christian and Muslim leaders in India and the surrounding area are in huge support of the passing of this new law, and in huge support of the Supreme Court saying that denying it is unconstitutional. And my question to pose to them is, are you against, are you pushing laws that make shaving illegal? Like it says in Leviticus, chapter 19 of Leviticus. Are you against the stoning to death of philosophical thinkers, of scientists, of free thinkers, like it says in chapter 20 of Leviticus? Are you against, we obviously know some radical Muslims are, but this is addressed directly to Christians in support of this law and in support of the denial of gay rights. Are you in support of killing people that are not of your religion, like it says in chapter 17 of Deuteronomy? If you're going to enforce the laws of your religion on people, and you're going to force people to obey your laws instead of the laws of the land, my favorite quote is from I do believe it's John Adams. I might be wrong. It's one of the founding fathers, but they said Christianity never is, or never was, and never will be the ruling law of the land of the United States. And in India, I don't know if they have freedom of religion. I'm assuming they do, because Christians, Muslims, nothing's going on there. So they're a democratic nation. We'll assume that they are. So why are religious people allowed to say, what you can and can't believe? If you're going to enforce one law of your religion, enforce all of them. Every single one. Do not pick and choose which parts you agree with. Mm-hmm. Like I said earlier, don't pick and choose. You can either agree with all of your laws, and you can go and kill someone who says something bad about their parents, or you don't get to push any of your laws on people. Which means gays can get married and gays can have sex. And if that's what they want to do, let them. You might not agree with it, but let them. That's all there is to it. And religion should not be used in laws. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree. And it is quite interesting to see that India is trying to exercise its government constitutionally in such a way that is similar to the United States. And it talks about Constitution, human rights, freedom of religion. But with the idea of people having the freedom to express themselves and to choose whatever religion they want to pledge allegiance to, a government cannot step in and have any religion take precedence over others. And so, with that being said, health charities have made many attempts to prevent HIV propagation by freely giving contraception to Indian homosexuals and other sexually deviant people. But the conservative Hindu Nationalist Party has made every attempt possible to prevent this. The Naz Foundation, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, it is spelled N-A-Z Foundation, made a litigation attempt in 2001 to defend homosexuals against this 1861 law, as well as to defend health charities to give out contraception, condoms to people. They had victory in 2009 when the Delhi High Court judged the law to be the 1861 law to be an infringement upon privacy, freedom, and expression. So I must applaud them.
And what I've been seeing lately is a lot of countries have been divided along this line, where you're either morally just or you're on the far, far unreachable right. And there hasn't been any middle line anymore. There is no light conservatism. There is no light liberalism. You're either far left, far right, or you're morally just in the middle.
And it is always humorous to see that people pretentiously claim they are centrists, libertarians, and independent thinkers, but yet they defend. They always have a great propensity to defend one side more so than the other.
Exactly.
And I say this about both conservatives and liberals, Democrats, Republicans, progressives, socialists, communists. They defend one side more so than the other. To be truly centrist, to be truly libertarian and independent of all parties is to follow logic. Follow the logic that defends liberty, freedom, justice, and equality for all people, no matter the cost.
You should make your decisions on which side you agree with by what they say, not by what party they're with. When you're voting for the president, or you're voting for a new senator, or even when you're voting for the mayor of your town, don't vote because he's a Democrat or a Republican. Vote on what he is going to do. I think it was
done.
I think it was JFK that said, Ask not what
your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country.
Exactly. And what I think he meant by that is, don't ask what the country, what the government is going to do for you. Don't ask what the government, how much social welfare the government is going to give you. But ask what you, as a free-thinking, intelligent individual, can do for this country by making a stand and saying, if you're going to ruin my country, you are not going to be in charge of it for long. What people in the government don't seem to not understand anymore is when in 1776, when the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 3rd, it was signed, July 2nd or 3rd, it was signed.
July 3rd.
When it was signed, what that Declaration of Independence and what the Constitution says is,
July 4th.
We own you. No, it was passed around on July 4th, but it was signed before July 4th.
Oh, I see.
What they say is, it's a government by the people, for the people. We own you. You are serving us, not the other way around. And when it becomes the other way around, I'm starting to sound like a member of Anonymous, and I don't want to sound like that. But when it becomes the other way around, that is when changes need to be made. And if changes aren't going to be made, then we're just going to keep living like this, and we're going to keep being the bottom rung, and nobody is
backwards regressive people,
and nobody's ever going to listen to what you have to say,
and they will not deem you as being a person who promotes and defends progressive action.
And to bring the show to a close, to bring this pilot to a close, turn off the TV, guys. Turn off Fox News. Turn off CNN. Read. Check your facts.
Read literature. Read your history books. Discontinue reading the books, the history books that were written by Americans.
Just read.
The American government,
if
the people who were the victors in all of these wars. Read books from foreigners, people who were losers in the wars.
Not only that, just in general. Go out and instead of getting your news from Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or the local media, go on to websites and look this stuff up. Fact check it. Read 6-7 sources before you make an opinion. Don't just make your opinion by what some person in a chair behind a desk told you to believe. Or don't believe what your parents or your family tells you have to believe. Make an intelligent decision for yourself. Because if you can do that, then maybe this generation is worth saving.
It is always worth saving. It always has been.
Maybe there's a chance left saving this generation if people can do that.
Sure.
So
it begins with becoming a free-thinking, independent individual. Centrist.
Unbiased. Fox News, unbiased means you don't have a bias. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're not unbiased. Neither is MSNBC, neither is any of the news, neither is BBC, neither is, what the hell is it called? Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is one of the farthest from unbiased, but the point is, if you agree with us and you find our way of talking about these topics interesting, and you find that you can intelligently discuss with us about situations, leave your comments, subscribe to us, let us know what you think. Give us your opinion on one of the talking points we had today. Give us your opinions on some talking points that we should discuss the next time we do a show. We don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, next week, whenever we do it. Leave your opinions down in the comments down here about what you think we should talk about. And make sure to click the little subscribe button down there. And thank you for being intelligent. And thank you for giving us a chance to show that our generation actually does care.